It is the 40 things to give up for Lent and beyond. And today we are talking about giving up impurity. This is a weighty subject. The Apostle Paul says in Philippians 4 verse 8. He says here, "Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is anything excellent, if there is anything worthy of praise, that these are the things we are to think about. These are the things that we are to consider." But this is much easier said than done. We live in a highly sexualized and illicit culture. Impurity is everywhere. We see it on TV, we see it in the movies, we see it in best-selling books. Access to pornography is easier than ever before, and our children are being exposed to it at an even younger and younger age. But our calling as Christians is to live holy lives. Our calling is to be set apart and to live different. It is even more critical in this hyper-sexualized world that we strive for purity in our lives. In 2 Samuel chapter 11, verses 1 through 27, we read the story of David and Bathsheba. The story begins with David staying behind at his palace while the other men went off to war, the fighting men at least. And this was the problem. David was supposed to go to war, but he stayed behind. He was in a place where he was not supposed to be. And this left him in a compromising position. In striving to live pure lives, it's important for us to avoid putting ourselves, first of all, in compromising positions. It starts with the choices we make about what we read and what we watch. It starts with what we visit on the internet. It starts with setting boundaries with those of the other sex. The second thing that happens is David sees this beautiful woman bathing. But rather than turning away, he inquires as to who she is. Because all the fighting men were away at war, no one told David that this was a dumb idea. You see, David had no accountability in his life. If pure living is a struggle for you, building accountability with others is one of the most important things that you can do. Do you have a filter on your computer? Do you have others who you can openly talk with about this? Many of us struggle in fighting this battle alone. But this is not a battle that we're called to fight alone. David was king. And because he was king, I imagine he thought he was bigger than all of this. But this adulterous affair would be his undoing. David's family would suffer greatly. David himself would suffer greatly. David would later see a daughter raped. He would see sons murdered. And all this stemmed from this momentary indiscretion. If David had to do it all over again, I'm sure he would have fled and ran away from it as fast as he could. It says in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 18, flee from sexual immorality. It doesn't say walk away from it. It doesn't just say avoid it. It says flee from sexual immorality. Every other sin a person commits outside of the body, but the sexually immoral person sins against his own body. Again, this verse does not say just avoid sexual immorality. It says flee from it. Run away from it. Don't think that it can never happen to you. Too many marriages, too many ministries have been destroyed by individuals who thought they were bigger than it. When we run, God gives us a place to run. We run to Jesus Christ. We run to the Savior. You see, God created us with a need in our heart for Him. And it's in Jesus only in Jesus that we find fulfillment for that need. We try to find fulfillment in other things. You know, King David, he was the king, but still being king was not enough. He hoped to find in Bathsheba that which was missing, but what he actually found was that while other things in life may satisfy for a time, there is nothing that truly satisfies but one, and that is Jesus. In the end, David was left with misery. It is only in Jesus that we find complete fulfillment. It is only Him who fulfills the emptiness inside. Overcoming impurity is not a matter of willpower, it's a matter of God's power at work in you. So, happy Tuesday, everyone. We will see you tomorrow on Wednesday.